It's midnight in East Africa. And in Southern Africa, it's 11 p.m. In Nigeria and in West Africa, it's 10 p.m. The top stories tonight: President Tinubu honors fallen heroes as Nigeria marks Armed Forces Remembrance Day. 9 ex-commissioners who resigned from Fubara's cabinet invited for fresh screening. Nigeria's inflation rate rises to 28.9%. Thanks for joining us on Nigeria Tonight. I'm Kofi Bartels. Our coverage begins in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, where the country's president laid wreaths as a mark of honor to soldiers who have paid the ultimate price with their lives at the National Arcade in Abuja. Now, this was part of celebrations to mark the 2024 Armed Forces Remembrance Day at the nation's capital. News Central's Amadin Uyi reports.
The event commenced at the National Arcade in Abuja with a parade by 7 military personnel and veterans of the Nigerian Army. In attendance were the leadership of the military and senior government officials. President Bola Tinubu shortly arrived at the venue. From there, he proceeded with leaders of the judiciary and legislature, where they paid their last respects to soldiers that have paid the ultimate price with their lives by the laying of wreaths. After them, President Tinubu released the ceremonial white pigeons as a symbol of peace.
Put your hands together, please. Thank you. Thank you.
The event ended with a change of guard ceremony. Amadin Uyi, reporting for News Central.
This Remembrance Day celebration came to a climax on Monday with the laying of wreaths by dignitaries across the states of Nigeria. Discourses around the day, the need to appreciate veterans and to make the lives of the families of fallen heroes better, took the center stage. News Central's Chinwe Ugehli compiled this report sent by our correspondents across the country.
When in active service, the force men have the duty to protect lives and property of citizens and also protect the territories of the nation from possible outside attacks. Some sustain life-changing injuries while others lose their lives in the course of fighting terrorism, banditry and other forms of crime. In Umuahia, the Abia State capital, the Governor Alex Oti says the citizens and government have not done enough to encourage those in active service of security or even paid adequate attention to the Legion.
In a nation whose immense potential has been perennially blighted by the crisis of parochialism and prebendal disposition of its leading elites, the military has managed, except during the darkest nights of our existence, to distinguish itself as a body of patriots committed to the highest demands of law for fatherland, even in the face of existential threats.
In Maiduguri, Borno State Northeast, the government used today to call on terrorists to surrender to the Nigerian government to ensure peace is achieved for growth or face the consequences of terrorism. On the plateau, Governor Caleb Mutfwang was all promises to the Legion in the state.
Make some commitments as government to assist the Nigerian Legion and the families of the fallen heroes thereby to benefit. And by the grace of God, this week I made a commitment in church yesterday that this week we are going to fulfill those promises.
Some of the veterans and families, though hopeful of better days, expressed disappointment at the treatment they had been given over the years.
Best of my knowledge, the federal government has not done enough in respect of taking up their effort.
It wasn't all that good, but I know this time things has improved tremendously.
The government is trying to pay their pension, but for the Abia State, they are not carrying out retired soldiers. They are not trying at all.
The cry out there in different parts of the country is for an improved welfare services to the veterans and the families they leave behind. Nigeria should at this point move away from rhetorics to face realities. Because as the gun sounds and peace is restored, lives are lost and families are left heartbroken. In Omar News Central, Chinwe Ugehli.
Let's now talk politics as we head to southern Nigeria, where the Rivers State House of Assembly has invited 9 former commissioners who resigned from the state government, Siminalayi Fubara's cabinet, that's the state governor's cabinet, for fresh screening and confirmation. The 9 commissioners resigned in December last year, following a feud between Fubara, the governor, and his predecessor and current minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. The clerk of the Rivers House of Assembly, Emeka Amadin, in a statement on Monday, said the commissioner nominees are expected to appear before the lawmakers on Wednesday. This development is part of the resolutions reached after Governor Fubara and Wike agreed to end the political feud between them when President Bola Tinubu intervened. Wike and other Rivers stakeholders on December 18 signed an 8-point resolution which includes resubmitting of the names of all commissioners in the Rivers State Executive Council who resigned their appointments due to the political crisis in the state to the State House of Assembly for approval. And let's stay in Rivers State, where the Supreme Court has reserved judgment on the appeal filed by the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Patrick Tonye Cole, against the victory of the Rivers State Governor, Siminalayi Fubara, in the March 18 governorship election. That's March 18, 2023. Well, Mr. Tonye Cole's case is a sequence or consequence of the appeal court's decision on the 28th of November, which dismissed his appeal for lacking sufficient and convincing evidence. Well, the APC governorship candidate's contention is that of irregularities, non-compliance with the Electoral Act, and Fubara's continued signing of documents as the Rivers State Accountant General after his nomination as governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party. A 5-member panel headed by Justice Kudirat Kekereekun reserved judgment on the appeal after all parties in the suit adopted their brief of arguments. Now let's stay with politics. Some residents in Delta State in the southern part of Nigeria have set an agenda for the lawmakers in the state as they resume their legislative year this week following the Christmas and New Year holidays. Well, Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Timi Guo, is assuring of synergy with the executive, meeting the yearnings and aspirations of citizens of Delta State. Well, News Central's correspondent Austin Azu has more.
Residents of Delta State who spoke on the activities of the 8th Assembly in the last 7 months say more needs to be done as they set agenda for them in the new legislative year.
My advice to them, as they resume, make them cooperate and unite together and focus on what they are there for and make them remember who voted for them and do the needful for them.
So we are begging the state government to make things very easy with us, most especially those of us that recycle surplus and those of us that recycle by occupation.
Pass their advice to the federal government and see how they can make laws that will favor the masses. If possible, if you ask me, this issue of helping the masses, both empowering the small business owners, entrepreneurs, so that they have more money to do their business.
The state legislature will be meeting before the end of the month to set legislative agenda for the year. Speaker of the Assembly said the proposed legislative framework will be designed in line with the moral agenda of the state governor, Sheriff Oborewori, that will focus on enhancing quality of life for Deltans, as well as basic infrastructural developments in the state. He disclosed that the House has so far received 7 bills, of which 4 were executive bills, 3 private member bills.
Out of the 7 bills, 4 has been passed, and then 3 assented to, and 1 is waiting for assent, the governor. Majorly, our greatest achievement in Delta State House of Assembly in the last 6 months has been the cordial relationship between members within themselves. It's been a great deal for us. And then for our working relationship with the executive arm of government and the judiciary has been a cordial one there.
As the lawmakers begin the legislative year, one thing the residents of the state are yearning for is the legislation that will guarantee their welfare and security. In Asaba for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
Let's stay with politics. Pat Utomi, a chieftain in the Labour Party, says the major opposition leaders in Nigeria must shun personal interest for talks for a mega coalition to progress. The political economist confirmed that 3 presidential candidates in the last election, Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party, his counterpart from Labour Party, Peter Obi, and Rabiu Kwankwaso of the New Nigeria People's Party, have agreed to form a formidable party that will sack the ruling All Progressives Congress in 2027. Utomi, who is a staunch supporter of Peter Obi in the 2023 presidential elections, said Nigerians need people who will make sacrifices for the development of the nation. However, saying the name of the new party is yet to be unveiled. Well, to discuss this further, we're joined by Kelechi Deca, who's a journalist and public affairs analyst. Kelechi, it's good to have you tonight on the program. Let's start this way. What prompted, in your opinion, Pat Utomi to advocate for this mega coalition?
I don't think we're seeing anything that is new. I mean, since the return to democracy in 1999, we've had this kind of rehashing from time to time. Whenever a major party takes power, the opposition politicians seem to, realize that, they've lost out, and they start scheming, start getting together, and start being patriotic once more. We had it during the first Obasanjo regime, when AMPP and some of the other parties came together and started forming a coalition until they were absorbed into the government. We had what they called quasi-government of national unity, except the AC that stayed away. Then later, even under Jonathan, we had that kind of arrangement. So I don't think there's anything new, and I don't believe that doing it for Nigerians, as Professor Utomi said. I think they're just doing what politicians normally do, trying to reposition themselves, trying to make themselves more relevant and see what they can get from power. Because left for me, I think that each of the political parties should do what opposition parties do. Stay within your spaces and provide Nigerians with quality, constructive opposition. That's what Nigeria needs at this moment. Instead of all this ganging up together, I think it's that just being driven with the ambition of power grabbing.
Kelechi, there is a school of thought that some of these opposition voices are moles planted by the political machinery, or they are proxies, in the guise of opposition members for the political machinery and establishment of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's just a game. What do you say to that theory?
Yeah, Nigerian politicians, there's nothing they cannot do. I mean, anybody, it was the late Delegiwa that once said that Nigerians are unshockable. There is nothing Nigerian politicians cannot do to grab power or to be relevant. So I wouldn't know whether it was being driven by Bola Tinubu or any other person, but I think that what is happening now is Nigerian politicians simply doing what they normally do most of the time. Whenever they lose out in power, they try to find out ways of making themselves relevant. And I think it is being driven by that their innate ambition to always go for power grabbing instead of, trying to find out how they can present quality opposition, because that's what I think Nigerians need at this particular time, because where the APC is taking us is really, really where we don't know.
Kelechi Deca, is this too little, too late? Some will argue that 2023 presented a beautiful chance for these men to put their egos aside and form one party, and hands down they would have beaten Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who now is president and has become stronger. It's just a waste of time. It's too late. What do you say to that school of thought?
Yeah, I think it's somehow, that, it's true for them to say that it is too late, but also they can still do something. But in my own opinion, I don't think that they need to band together. They need to form a coalition. They need to form a new supra party that will, under which umbrella that all of them will come together before they are able to achieve something positive. Let the Labour Party stay as Labour Party and start building from the grassroots. Because part of the challenges they faced during the 2023 elections was also that absence of structure to be able to coalesce the kind of emotions and the kind of support that came their way. Let them go back and start working on it. The PDP has been sort of messed up over time. Presently, I don't even know whether the People's Democratic Party exists as a political party. They should go back and start working something out and see if they can rejuvenate and recreate the new PDP. While the NNPP should use the opportunity they have in Kano State to prove to Nigerians what they can do. In my opinion, that's the way they should go about it. I mean, there mustn't be that supra opposition coalition before they're able to provide leadership for Nigerians.
Kelechi, thank you. In the meantime, the governors of these parties are all, forming a queue to Aso Rock, and nobody is even able to say PIM, like we say in Nigeria parlance. But Kelechi, thank you very much for your time. It's a pleasure having you.
It's my pleasure.
All right, let's take more news. Still politics. Hope Uzodimma has been sworn in for a second term as governor of Imo State following his re-election. He took the oath of office at the Danayam Stadium in Owerri, the Imo State capital. The governor's inauguration came just minutes after Chinwe Ugehli took her oath of office as deputy governor of Imo State. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, Senate President Godswill Akpabio, Speaker of the House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas, and other All Progressives Congress chieftains were in attendance. Well, in his speech, the governor promised to exceed his performance in the first term, thanking the people of the state for their support. Now, just before we go on a break, let's tell you that a high-powered presidential team led by the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has taken decisive action to address the pervasive issue of crude oil theft in the Niger Delta. The team conducted an inspection of an impounded oil vessel that had been apprehended by the private security outfit Tantita, accompanied by key figures such as Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, Chief of Naval Staff, the JTF Commander, and the Group Chief Executive Officer of the NNPC Limited, Medicare. General Musa arrived at Escravos Waterways in the early evening Their immediate focus was to inspect the vehicle or the vessel and apprehend the suspects involved in the illicit activities. Addressing the media, General Musa urged journalists to ensure accuracy in reporting, emphasizing unity amongst security operatives and private security outfits. Expressing concern over the state of the economy, the CDS pledged to intensify efforts in combating oil theft and other criminal activities that adversely affect Nigeria's economy.
We need all the funds we need so that this country can grow and develop. And it is by stopping these criminals like this that will make that very possible. So why we're here is to come and see, to identify. The Chief of Defense Intelligence is going to go straight into investigation as to who involved, what was taken, who sent them, and this to the base. Because we want to not only catch, these are just the perpetrators. These ones are just the grand troops that are being used. The main actors are there behind. And that is why we want to start doing. I want to warn, we want to seize this opportunity to warn all those that don't want to stop this, that enough is enough. The armed forces, security agencies, the communities, private security agencies, wherever they are contacted. As long as they are contacted by the federal government, we're going to work together as a team. There's not going to be any competition between us. And please, the media, stop making it look as if there's a fight. There is no fight. Whatever arrest is being done is done collaboratively, and we're going to continue to do that. And so that is very important. We're happy this thing has been arrested. We're going to take it up from here. And we're going to do more. Because henceforth, we're going to enhance our collaboration and our jointness in ensuring that we check these menace. Nigeria must grow. Individuals cannot hold us to ransom. There are very few individuals that are making profit from this, and they don't want to stop, because we will have expected that by now, from all the actions that have been taken, that it will dissuade people from doing it. But you can see that people are still hell-bent in coming to steal our crude for their own selfish gains, and that must stop. So I want to thank you for this opportunity that we're here, and to make it very clear that we're all working together as a team. We will enhance this capacity, and this year we will ensure that Nigeria oil production goes up as much as possible, so that we can all benefit as Nigeria.
You're watching Nigeria Tonight on News Central Television. Coming up, Nigeria's Code of Conduct Bureau invites Minister Tunji Ojo over, you guessed it right, the alleged 438 million naira contract scam. Stay with us because we have details after this break. If you just joined us, you're watching Nigeria Tonight. A reminder of our top stories. Nigeria's president honors fallen heroes as Nigeria marks the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. 9 ex-commissioners who resigned from the cabinet of Rivers Governor Fubara have been invited for fresh screening. Nigeria's inflation rate rises to 28.9%. Well, before we bring to you some anti-graft news, let's take a look at a business-related story tonight. The latest report from Nigeria says the country's inflation has risen to its highest rate in more than 27 years. According to the Nigeria Bureau for Statistics, the rate that prices were increasing over the year was up from 12 for the 12th straight month. On average, the price of goods has risen just under 29% compared to a year ago. The Statistics Office says the rise in the cost of basic foodstuff, including bread, fruit, eggs, was higher. Analysts say higher fuel prices and a weaker currency, the naira, have also contributed to the rise. Now, when Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu took office last May, he immediately embarked on a series of bold economic reforms. The president scrapped a costly but popular fuel subsidy and devalued the currency to try to revive growth. Well, let's discuss Nigeria's inflation issues some more. We're joined by Chartered Accountant Mr. Akin Fat. It's good to have you, sir. Thank you very kindly for your time.
Always a pleasure to be here, Kofi. Thank you. Good evening, Nigerians.
The inflation rate has now increased, for 11 consecutive months. Nigeria was under Goodluck Jonathan at sub 10%. Now, talk to us about the underlying trends and patterns shaping this consecutive upward trajectory of inflationary increase?
It's not just the headline inflation that has increased by what you have said to 28.92%. If you want to compare that to what we had in November, 28.2%, has been on for 11 months. For statisticians, in fact, econometricians, we knew this was going to happen in the back of weak currency, quite right. We are not earning enough, and the little that we were earning was bedeviled, unfortunately, by the gulf that we had in the trust deficits. 20% by way of Pareto analysis or less were smiling to the banks without necessarily producing. And those bold reforms that you mentioned were not wholesomely embraced, one. And two, even those who put the reforms there were, in my mind, not a bit serious with the kind of discipline that needed to be seen from the driver of a vehicle who has lost a tire. Something needed to have given. And I'd like to also say that it's not just the headline inflation. Rural inflation jumped to some 37%. Urban inflation jumped to about 31%, all within the space of 11 months. It is only magicians and people who just want to reap where they did not sow will tell you clearly that they didn't see some of these things coming. Population is increasing, out-of-school children is out there, unemployment has galloped, the monetary and physical policies, bold reforms, ideas same that were pronounced, we are not seeing walking the talk by the people. Corruption seems to be a breaking news. Nearly every other day, Jackpot syndrome is there. You now see people who are productive lending their capacity to other areas of the world. Those basically are the underlying factors. I know a couple of things are being done, but they are becoming too little. I won't say too late, but clearly not enough to steer us in the right direction.
Akin Fat, I mean, Nigeria, we took it for granted, really. Nigeria had below 10% inflation as recently as the Goodluck Jonathan administration. We've seen things become a mess. It's a far cry from where the country was. Will it get worse or will it get better? You talked about the authorities, the federal government, and policy makers at the federal and state levels not walking the talk. You talked about the corruption scandals, breaking news every single day. Does the government in Nigeria at all levels really have the political will to rein inflation in and to fix the economy? Or are we just embarking on a Nollywood adventure?
Look, Kofi, in all fairness and realistically, hope springs from the heart that just believes the Nigerian dream and the Nigerian hope is never to say die, even when all indices are indicating that we are pointing southwards. The policies, like most economic policies, are not necessarily going to be cast in stone, but people have to drive them. People have to embrace them. People have to understand why they have to tighten their seat belts and get for more hardship. But while that is going and then communication is not free-flowing, suddenly we are trying to tighten our seat belts and then we are getting cash crunch. One of the reasons why rural inflation is up out there in the roof. Those who are supposed to get money are buying money at premium, and we are not being told, except you continue to do guesswork. Is it a sign of a cancer that we have found in our body policy and our economics? Even you must understand, Kofi, if you have cancer and you are able to quickly detect it, you can make some remediation measures, and heaven helps those who help themselves. Is it going to continue? I see a situation where it's going to continue a little bit much more before it gets better. Analysts are already saying in 2024 that we are in, by second quarter, things begin to take a shape and turn around. But I got a terrible shot at the back of my head, in a manner of speaking, when I read, and I thought it was a joke, I started to read the budget. I started seeing us giving goods, looking as if money is all over the place, allegedly 3.1 or 3.2 billion approved by this Mr. President to go and do the social cash register to the humanitarian affairs manager. What Mr. President needs to do, and he has told us that he's listening, is to begin to call back on some of these ostentatious things that we see that is flying around. If that is done, if you can put off the tap, and if nature continues to smile on us, we are not at least yet getting the kind of rainfall that washed better part of the country and the Lagdo Dam. I guess, I've not been told, but I guess our Foreign Affairs Ministry are having discussions with the Cameroonian authorities to try and see how to ameliorate. I foresee situations where Mr. Oyedele's committee set out to harness our tax in such a way that we tax more of the rich and tax less of the poor and use this to kind of do a subsidy. I also foresee that since the Dangote refinery, we are told, and I hope it is not another photo ops at the back of the Port Harcourt refinery, which government has openly said that is going to be handed over to the private sector. I hope that does. And the midstream regulatory authorities sit down there and do what they need to do. And the armed forces continue to strive, and by the way, remembering them especially today, especially working, it's going to be Tantina, it's going to be the Navy and all that, to rein in people that they know that we know that they know that we know should be brought in,
all right,
and capture a lot of, and begin to do things by way of compassion, begin to lead by example. Mr. President, can you call the National Assembly SARS, who followed you to Imo State today? What did you whisper to them? Can you begin to call on the National Council of States and begin to say, hi, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I've heard the cries of our people. Enough of all the ostentation. You're already in that direction, but can we get that more?
Okay.
Go on with tell.
So in other words, you're saying we need to rein in the spending. And it's not just by releasing statements, but actually by really doing it. Well, let's see if that will be done. But you said it all.
Really doing it, and it is easy to do, Kofi. The political way to do it is there. You are not going to starve. Sorry, they are not going to starve. So just do it. Go out there and just get a trust deficit.
All right.
Right now, the slim majority that you have to win this election. Can we find a way, even if people are going in different ways, continue to do what is right?
Akin Fat, thank you so very kindly. I mean, you've said it all, and we will be here to ask you some more questions if nothing changes. Let's hope for the best as far as Nigeria's inflation is concerned. Thank you so very kindly for your time tonight.
Thank you very much for having me, Kofi.
Let's move on to other stories and to graft matters now. Finally, the Code of Conduct Bureau has spoken up. It's invited the Minister of Interior, Bumi Tunji-Ojo, over his involvement in a company, or the involvement of his company in alleged 438 million naira contract scam uncovered in the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. Well, the Bureau has commenced an investigation into the alleged breach of the Code of Conduct for public officers by the minister. A company known as New Planet Projects, allegedly belonging to him, benefited from an alleged contract scam from from alleged contract from the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry. A document on Monday showed that the Bureau invited the embattled minister to appear before it on Tuesday at its headquarters in Abuja. The document signed by Gwimi SP, the Bureau's Director, Investigation and Monitoring on behalf of its chairman, Murtala Aliyu, shows that the Bureau's invitation is hinged on its mandate and powers as enshrined in the third schedule, Part 1 and 3, Sub E of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. We'll keep our eyes on that one. Let's stay with graft or corruption, and let's tell you that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has arrested a former Minister of Commerce and Industry, Charles Ugu, for alleged conspiracy and loan fraud to the tune of 3.6 billion naira. Ugu was appointed minister by the late President Umaru Yar'Adua and was sacked after a cabinet reshuffle that affected 19 other ministers. Well, according to a statement by head of media and publicity of the commission, the ex-minister was arrested with Chief Geoffrey Ekema on January 11, 2024 in Imo State. The arrest of the two suspects was said to have followed a petition to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission from a new generation bank on the alleged fraud perpetrated through a company known as Ebony Agro Industries Limited, which is linked to the ex-ministers. We must stress those allegations, and the investigation is still ongoing. You are watching Nigeria Tonight, and still to come. Nigeria's federal government signs MOU with traditional leaders to end breast ironing. That's a very shocking practice. We'll have details on that and other stories when we return. Okay, so no package then. All right. Back in a bit to end the harmful practice of breast ironing among girls in the Pigba community of Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory, the government of the country has signed a memorandum of understanding with the traditional leaders to help end the practice. Women in that community were also supported with the business startup kits to help their quest to be self-reliant and reposition their socioeconomic status in that community. We'll bring you the details of that report in subsequent bulletins. Let's move to southern Nigeria, where the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency has urged lovers of a local delicacy known as pomo in the state to reduce their consumption to keep the air quality of the state clean and healthy. In an exclusive interview with News Central, the general manager of the environmental agency, Babatunde Ajayi, disclosed that the burning of cow skin that's the source of pomo, in different areas of Nigeria's economic nerve center, Lagos, releases carbon into the air, which of course is harmful to humans. Our correspondent, Bettina Onwili, reports.
Is made by burning cow skin, and this involves burning the cow skin for an extended time on fire before it reaches the perfect texture. Thereafter, the roasted skin is washed several times and boiled for several hours to soften it.
Turkey, chicken are very, very expensive. So if they are banning pomo now, so how are we going to be eating pomo when people don't even have, in this country now, people don't even have a lot of money to buy turkey, even they're going to buy chicken.
How does pomo actually affect the cost of fuel? How does it improve the security situation in the country? You understand? I just feel this government they're just acting scenes and drama to just be relevant in the media.
Some people believe it's not nutritious, but to me, it depends on the one you are buying. Because we have so many different kinds of pomo and different processes in making pomo. We have some that is being processed with chemical.
Speaking against the backdrop of the data on air quality that the state agency released, which showed that it was below healthy, the general manager of the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, Babatunde Ajayi, says agricultural emission contributes to poor air quality. The data by LASEPA across the 22 areas measured found that the air quality in those areas ranged from moderate to unhealthy, with Agege, Akoka, Ojo, and Ketu topping the list of areas with the unhealthiest air quality.
It's quite responsible for the weather change that we're experiencing these days. When it's cold, it's extremely cold. When it's hot, it's extremely hot. You are seeing rain in January, So that's basically what you call climate change. Burning of pomo, actually came out as one big central issue. Well, one of the reasons why you do measurement, like the Lagos State government actually did, is for you to begin to note where you have where the effect is largely coming from.
According to the World Future Council, modern agriculture, food production, and distribution are major contributors of greenhouse gases. Agriculture is directly responsible for 14% of total greenhouse gas emissions, and broader rural land use decisions have an even larger impact. This includes animal farming, particularly the processing of hides and skin.
Pomo is in that category of having collagen and not having the essential vitamins and minerals, thus making it a food of low nutritional value. Like, where else can you get collagen from? You can actually get from other food sources that come with that full package of having added nutritional value.
The state government had earlier called on residents of the state to be cautious and make conscious choices as data reveals moderate and unhealthy air quality index in some parts of the state. For lovers of pomo, the forfeiture of the delicacy may just be the price to pay for a better living. In Lagos for News Central, Bettina Onwili.
We now head to northern Nigeria, where in an effort to tackle the growth rate of youth involvement in drug abuse and other social vices, Nigeria's northeast state of Borno, the National Youth Council of Nigeria is set to host a town hall in the state. The council is collaborating with the Nigerian Union of Journalists in Borno State to enhance sensitization. News Central's Umar Kirawa completes the report.
The recent rise in the cases of drug abuse in Nigeria has remained cause for concern. Recognizing the importance of effective communication, the National Youth Council of Nigeria is here at the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Borno State Council, to strengthen ties towards making deliberate efforts to tackle the menace.
Nigeria has a 60% population of the youth. There is a lot of issues in the state, particularly on drug abuse, out school of children, and other things that we see the National Youth Council, National Union of Journalists, NUJ, has as a state, as relevant stakeholders that will take part in this program.
The town hall meeting is said to serve as a platform for open discussions expert insight, and community participation.
We find it deemed to hold what we call a Borno State Town Hall meeting on social reorientation for the youth, and we are going to target our participants across all the 27 LGAs since we are having our structures down the lane.
We also have that plan to also engage with NDLEA to see how we can tackle this serious concern. So it's part of our responsibility as NUJ to support, particularly now that we have youth willing to come out to seek our support to tackle this concern, because most of drug addicts are the youth, and of concern is how women now indulge in this drug abuse.
By collaborating with the NUJ, the Youth Council aims to leverage the expertise and reach of journalists to effectively convey messages, provide information, and engage the youth population.
Certainly NUJ is a great partner and will support you in whatever capacity that we can to see that the youth of Borno participate in whatever activities and also contribute their quota in the development of the state.
It is believed that by bringing together stakeholders from various sectors, including government officials, community leaders, and the media, they can collectively address the pressing challenges such as drug abuse that affect the youth in Borno State. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umar Kirawa.
Thank you, Maru. Let's now join the sports desk for the latest from the world of sports.
Nigeria's men's handball senior team, coached by Rafiu Salami, has finalized its 16-man squad for the African Cup of Nations in Cairo, Egypt. The championships will run from January 17th to 27th, and the squad comprises 3 goalkeepers, 9 defenders, 5 midfielders, and 8 forwards. Goalkeepers include Michael Agbaji, Obinna Okwo, and Abbas Mohamed. Debutants in the national team include Abbas Mohamed, Ibrahim Diko, Joseph Bamwan, Daniel Bello, John Shagari, Hakim Salami, and Andrew Ojo. The team, known as the Golden Arrows, will commence their campaign against Angola on the 17th of January, followed by matches against Tunisia on the 19th of January and Kenya on the 21st of January. 3-time African champions, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, are already shifting focus to their next Group A match against the host, the Elephants of Cote d'Ivoire. The Eagles, who wasted numerous chances against Equatorial Guinea in their first game on Sunday, which ended in a 1-0 draw, need a good result in order to stand the chance of extending their 15th consecutive second-round qualifications at the Africa Cup of Nations. Vice-captain William Troost Ekong and winger Moses Simon have called on soccer-loving Nigerians to rally behind the team ahead of the make-or-mar encounter on Thursday.
It was a little bit difficult to have this opportunity, and we did utilize it. So it hurts, and it will give us more strength to push for the next game. Actually, we just need to say to the first, they should have patience. Football is like this, and we just need to push hard, work hard, and give a good result for them. It's a lot of pressure, even playing against Cote d'Ivoire. We all know it's a difficult team, and also we are difficult also, but we just need to work so hard and give our best. Nothing changed. I think we would have won today, or we would have lost today. We still would have had to try to win against Ivory Coast. They showed yesterday that they're very strong, and I think also today we showed that we are strong. I think on another day, like I said, we would score more, but we will prepare now for a difficult game on Wednesday.
And that's a wrap on Sport Updates. I am Udoka Njoko. The news continues shortly.
Thank you, Doka, and that's all tonight. Before we go, let's take another look at the major stories. President Tinubu has honored fallen soldiers as Nigeria marks Armed Forces Remembrance Day. We told you 9 ex-commissioners who resigned from the cabinet of former governor of Rivers State have been invited for a fresh screening. And Nigeria's inflation rate has risen to 28.9%. We'd like to hear from you. Please send us your eyewitness reports to the WhatsApp number and email address showing on your screen. As you can see, we're on the major social media platforms at News Central TV. Of course, you can also watch us on these channels and platforms. Thanks for your time tonight. My name is Kofi Bartels. Good night.